let's go ahead and do this extra credit for nesting these elements. We want to create a DOM structure that looks like this. So how do we do that with the create element API? So let's jump back over here. And what we've got here is an element that we're creating, and it's a div. And let's just get a reminder of what this looks like. I'm going to grab just the part that we care about, copy this, and we'll paste it in right here so we can reference it easily. And so what we want to do is I want to take this div with the class name of container, and instead of just simply hello world as the children, this actually has two children. It has a span that has hello and then another span that has world. And so how do we go about doing this with the children API that we have like this? Well, I'm going to go ahead and console log this element, and I'm going to save that. And I'm going to show you one thing that I didn't show you earlier, and that is that the children prop can be set like this, or it can be set as an additional parameter to the React create element call. So if I remove that there and save that here, now we'll take a look and we see props children hello world. Awesome. Okay, let's just format that a little bit nicer. And so another part of this is you can actually provide any number of additional arguments, and those will all be kind of slurped up into this children prop. So I could say hello, and then as another argument, we'll have a space, and then as another argument, we'll have world. So we have the type, then the props, and then the rest of these are going to be the children. So if we look at this, we'll see the props has a children prop here that is an array of those three string elements. And actually, if we look at the output, it looks exactly as it was before. But if you look at the elements here, then you'll see we actually have two individual text nodes for each one of those strings. So then if we look at our console and see that we have that array of children, that might make you think, I wonder if I could actually just provide children as an array right here, and then we take these three, we'll stick those there, and boom, we actually have the exact same output, the exact same result, and children is now that array of hello, space, and world. So you can write this however you want to, and as a general reminder, you're actually not going to be using the create element API directly very often, but it does help to understand that the children prop is kind of a special prop where if you have only one element, then it's fine, it'll just have the one element. But if you want to have multiple elements, then you can provide it with additional arguments here with the create element API, or provide it as an array. Either way, it's going to be converted into an array with that props. And this will be very relevant to you in the future when you start creating your own custom components. So what does this have to do with what we're doing now? Well, we have this div and we want multiple children. And so here we're going to, instead of having a string that is hello, I want to have a span element that is hello. So let's go ahead and make our hello element with React create element. We want it to be a span, and we don't have any props that we care about. So we'll just put an empty object there, and then we'll say hello right there. And I'm just going to copy paste this because this is very similar to our world element. We'll say world. And then instead of the string hello, I'm going to say hello element as one of the children. And instead of the string world, we'll say world element as a child there. And we get that exact same output here. We'll come down here and see that we have our div, ID of root, our container, and then our two spans. Now you'll notice we do have a warning in here, and you may notice that actually if we change it from an array to multiple arguments after, we will not get that warning. And you'll learn more about that when we talk about the key prop later. So look forward to that. But basically what we had to do to create this UI is we have to create an individual element for each element of the UI that we want to create. So we created a span for the hello element using the React create element API. We didn't care about adding any properties to this particular DOM node that React DOM creates for us. And so we just put an empty object here. You can also put null, and that will work just as well. And we define the type, we define the props, we define the children. We could also say children is world right here instead of passing extra arguments, and that works just as well. Ultimately, the create element API is going to convert whatever we pass as the rest of our arguments to that children props. However you want to structure that doesn't really make too much of a difference, and we'll see later how this plays into JSX very soon. With those two elements, then we can provide those as children to this create element call for our root element here for this div that we're rendering. And then we render all of that together with the React DOM.render API, and poof, those appear in our DOM exactly as we want.